We are here in Cherbourg, and I've got a little job that I thought we could kind of do here together. We've got the Navigator seat. It's like a race car seat, and with a little bit of help from an adapter kit, we have got this thing kind of lined up with one of those nice captain's chair sprung rotating height adjustable thingies off a motorboat. So I'll show you where it's going to go, but before we do that, we've got a bit of a kind of like Heath Robinson situation here. So I've got to kind of get back into the I can now see what's going on mode, which requires more and more bionics as the year goes past. Okay, so the battery on the boat is really, really low right now. Okay, it's a lithium iron phosphate battery, and it's at 24.47. And I say that with some candor because I'm kind of like exploring the new chemistry of the lithium iron phosphate batteries, which I've got on board now. I'm working with a manufacturer called Time. They're out of China. It's not that they've like sponsored a battery. It's like, well, they kind of have sponsored a battery, but I actually already had one of their batteries and I crossed the Atlantic with it to bring the boat over for the Fastnet, right? Jesus, the head torches, hang on. It's got like 80 million settings and I've got to look in the camera to tell which one's on. I bought the battery as a kind of like cheap option when I was in Portland. Had it, I think, literally from Temu. I think I tried to order it from Temu and then they didn't have it, whatever, so I got it from Amazon. It wasn't very expensive. I slung it in here and it has worked flawlessly across the Atlantic, driving the autopilot on an 80-foot maxi. So I don't know what that means in terms of like performance on any kind of range, but that's what it did. And then the company, I didn't mention the battery manufacturer and anything I did, but the company got in contact and they said, do you want to partner with us for a fishing competition? I'm like, you might have misread slightly what my channel's about. So I wrote back and said, no, but I actually have one of your batteries. So I'm happy to have another one if you want me to tell the story of what I already have. But I'm exploring the lower limits of what happens. I had an incident that happened when I was on the Atlantic. We were going to have to basically, I slung the battery in here without knowing too much about what was going on with this kind of lithium iron phosphate systems. I've since become much wiser. I knew that they had an internal BMS battery cutoff system, which if the voltage gets too low, it protects the battery and stops it from getting, getting into a situation where it's like at the bottom dregs of what it can do. It's not like a lead acid battery where it can go deep, low discharge levels and still power small little bulbs like it did when we were kids. I think of like 12-volt systems getting really low and like the car headlights would get weaker and weaker. That doesn't exist anymore. These super high output batteries are in a situation where they're giving all that they can give and then it just turns off. And it has to be turned off in a way that means that it can come back on later on. And that's the job of the battery management system. So the battery management system on these has cut off once in a very sort of dangerous situation. I was crossing the Atlantic and I was in some quite heavy weather. The autopilot was working hard and I was out by the helm and everything went dark all at once. And I just hadn't adjusted the alarm on the battery monitor, and suddenly I was in a situation where the batteries had gone off and there's no way to kind of like just switch them back on. The one that I'm dealing with here doesn't have a Bluetooth connectivity so that you can understand the where the battery level is at. The main thing is that it's if it goes off, you have to put a zero voltage charger on it, which like a very small charge from a solar panel is fine for that. But if you have anything that's like an alternator throwing current at it, the BMS won't open, and you can end up damaging the alternator on the engine actually, because it's just forcing loads of charge and it's not going anywhere. So I had to very carefully introduce my standby battery to the system. And since I've been very careful about making sure that the batteries never go too low. So the other night when we were streaming, the lights went off, which was the end of an experiment of like, how long will it run the lights for? And it will run the lights and the screens for the nav system it'll run it for 4 days alone. Now that's not using anything at excess. There's no nav lights on, but that's only LED anyway. Compass lights weren't on, that's only LED. Pretty much everything was on. There's nothing really that's electric here, like I'm not having showers or anything, so there's no pumps running. So yeah, the boat's very economical. But now what I did is, after it shut off last night, I changed out, got the other battery on, and then I had an opportunity to get this other battery I'm going to show you now and kind of like get it back in the system. Today, I reintroduced that battery to the solar system, and here at like 50 degrees north or whatever we are, it's able to recharge enough that it's been running the lights again now for 6 hours. So I'm learning what's the bottom of the battery, what it can do, what it can't do, and then hopefully understand it more in the future, like exactly what the numbers are. So it's at 24.44 now, which is super low. So as we're streaming, I've got a light going over here. So I'm going to disconnect the batteries and swap them over. I'll be completely taking one battery off, putting it completely to the side, and then connecting in what's my like emergency battery. So I want to show you this. This is a unit that I bought in Canada before I left. This is here we go, an NYDPP battery. Okay, I gotta reconnect that. An NYDPP battery. I'm not sponsored by these. Again, I got this secondhand for $500 Canadian, and it's a 24 volt, 100 amp hour battery. 120 this one, 120, 24 volt, 120 amp hour battery. On the end, it's got these massive connectors that you can just twist off here. It's got charging for USB-C and USB-A. It's got a 12 volt pickup, which goes on this thing. And then it has a 10 amp charger, which runs on 100 volts up to 220 volts. It goes over here. And then these ones, which for me, I'd rather take that off because it's kind of like a really exposed terminal. But that's another like high voltage connection, I think, isn't it not, for like solar cell systems, what have you? So this guy also has Bluetooth. You see, it's not that heavy. It's heavy, but it's not that heavy. This guy can run this boat for 6 hours with full autopilot, with all and everything on. There's 6 hours of autopilot for this boat inside this box. Like, isn't that completely nutty? So what I'm going to do is get this connected up, move the camera around now. You can sort of see what's going on here a little bit. Getting a little bit better at this, but it's still about moving the actual brackets around that the phone's connected to, so pardon for the blasting on your headphones. Okay, there we go. So that's where we're going. So under the stairs is a kind of dark mystery land, which is the electrical space. A lot of stuff hanging off here now. Hang on, let me get my head torch. A lot of stuff hanging off here now because I've been routing out some wires in here. So all this wiring goes under little conduit pieces which are inside here. Would have to pick the longest one. So conduits like this go over those pieces, and then it's kind of like a H shape in there. But when these kind of boats with the wiring, I used to work on Beneteaus and lagoons and all stuff like that, and the wiring would be like down little mouse runs that you couldn't get to. And then I go on other boats and it's like laid out so beautifully. It's like has aesthetic appeal, and that's great. And you can follow things, but you got to like unpick everything, and it never goes back perfectly, and it's not kind of built for the environment we're in. This inside these conduits, once the conduits are off, it's just like a French dashboard. It's just everything's right there hanging off the back of it looks a mess, but it exactly does what it is that you want it to do, and for that it's absolutely genius. So I'll be keeping it, but it's framing out that the inverter charger, and then down there is the battery, which is now getting critically low. So we're not doing there's no changing over between batteries. That's the whole thing with lithium iron phosphate batteries. You've got to be very careful about a high charge battery meeting a low charge battery, because hundreds of amps, I think thousands of amps, can transfer very quickly, and it blows everything out, right? That's where you get into terrible trouble. So we're just doing a complete disconnect and reconnect. And this is pretty much what I had to do at sea when this one happened last time, but it's a lot more controlled now. I've got a new Victron alarm up here, so a new Victron ammeter up here behind my Google thing, which thanks to Starlink is actually functional here, a little Google thing. But this guy is, it doesn't have an alarm on it, which is a bit of a problem. The old one used to have an alarm. Take you out of there. Some luxuries of being in port. Right. So I'm going to go down here. We can keep chatting. That's the one thing I've got to learn about streaming, is that I don't have to be talking all the time. But if anybody wants to put anything in the chat, that'd be great. Great to see people that are new or whatever. If you got any sailing questions, just ask. I'm going to get on with a bit of work here, and we'll get this guy into the system. Right. Boom. So it's a little bit kind of Heath Robinson. You just stick it in there on top of the battery, but having the ability to just take that amount of power, that can be taken to like a hotel room or taken into the marina office or whatever you want to do with it. Take it and charge it from completely separately on a 10 amp charger. It's going to take 10 or 11 hours to charge it up, 12 hours, I guess, charge it up, depending on how far you run it down. But you can go and take that into a hotel room, or you can have a separate generator, or you can charge it back up in any way you can think, and you can suddenly move power, that's quite a lot of power, around in the boat in a way that's just never been possible before. So I love that thing. It means we can put the other lights on as well, which makes things a bit nicer. All right, I'll move the camera back. Oh, we were going to connect up. Aha, yes, we've got to connect up the power for the for the phone, which I let get low as well, and we can connect that to the same place. Right, just have to do another noisy transition here, and we're all good. Where are people watching from? Anybody working on their boat tonight whilst we're doing this? All right. There we go. Perfect. And there's the phone charging, and it didn't even turn off. Unbelievable. All right. Suddenly we've jumped to 25.8 on the voltage, so feels a bit healthier. Still in the way. Right, I brought snacks so that I won't get too too crotchety as the job goes along. Right, so we've got here the race seat, which is going to be in the nav area, which is down here. I think I've shown you this before. Let me put some lights on. Yeah, if we go and have a look down here. Oh, Holyhead in Wales. Fantastic, yes. Oh, yes, I know that person. All right, so we're in working down here. I've tidied this area up now in that I can actually have a microphone here, put my tablet over there, because basically I don't use this area on the boat, like basically at all. When this boat was, oh, Tarragona. Oh, I know Tarragona. Yes, I've been there. Yeah, Tarragona. I went in there in an Aston Doa super yacht in 2007. It's going back a bit. Absolutely beautiful, yeah. This area on the boat, basically back in the day, all the nav would have been here. The guys would have had like weather facts and and literally, let me see, 97. So they'd have had something like a was it Leica? Leica made this GPS system, which was in all the racing yachts at the time. It's a nice big black unit. I had one on Challenger because she was from 97. I had them in the Challenge business boats in Spirit of Outward Bound Hong Kong. I drove her, and I drove, what was the other one? She was Cork in the Clipper race. Did I not drive that boat, or I prepped that boat, whatever it was? But anyway, they had these Leica units on board, and the Leica units would be they're only kind of like they would still basically be doing some kind of nav sites on the way. When this was 96 and you're doing offshore racing, they would still have a sextant on board as like a direct backup. It wasn't that you were just driving around and you're completely happy with the GPS. It might go off. You got very early B&G stuff on these boats originally. So this area would have been the Navigator's domain, probably have like some kind of roll down something here. It had a bench seat in here until literally like a week ago when I came along and ripped it all out. And then I've kind of specced out in here. This part of the floor lifts up. Oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to break it all by hand now. With two hands, that area comes up. There's a little place you can look down there, and there's a viewing port that goes out to the propeller. These boards do lift up, but it's very, very shallow here. But the PMS seal is there for the propeller shaft. So this is going to go through and mount on a little beam that runs underneath here. It's got 2 bolts that will go through that, and the other 4 go right through the plywood floor, and then the plywood floor is screwed down. So I want to be able to put that race seat in here. It's something I've had for a long time. Oh, the Bahamas. Hello, the Bahamas. So I've had that race seat, this race seat, in fact, the race seat, on board the Open 60 with the idea of putting it in there for a couple of years. It's sat on board this boat unused for a couple of years, and I thought, you know, it's a fantastic fantastic like development of what I got going on here. If I've got a place I can go and do like I started trying to do Marine Accident Investigation Branch's report on the little sonar Limitless. It lost somebody off the side. I went to do it last night, and it's just impossible to kind of get workflow when you're having to like fix all the lights on an ad hoc basis, fix the camera, fix the mic. It's like if there's just somewhere I can go and do it and then get back on with running the boat, makes it much easier to run the boat and do that thing. So editing and doing content creation takes quite a long time, which is why I'm now favoring streaming, because obviously it exists afterwards as a video, but at the time it's a lot easier to do. I got to connect my power back up. Else everything will go dark here. All right. We got this thing going. Oh yeah, we go. Power's back on. We've got 5%. Oh, Calgary, hello there. Propeller viewing port. The propeller viewing port is a very good idea. I've used it once on this boat to like ascertain. We had an issue with the propeller and we couldn't work out what it was. We actually thought there was a problem with the engine, because when you put the engine in gear, it would really, really bog down, and then it would start to like have loads of black smoke out the back of it. And I think you can see it on one of my videos where I'm parking in Iceland, and I'm up against the wall, and like suddenly the engine just does not want to go into reverse. It starts coughing and choking. It's throwing out all this black smoke, and I have to scramble up the wall of the jetty and get on the jetty and kind of bring the boat to a halt. It was quite exciting at the time, but it remained a little bit undiagnosed for quite a while. And in the end, when we got down to it, it's the max prop. It's underwater. It's a feathering propeller, and the internals are screwed up on it. Oh, I had the main part of it was sitting here forever. But that bit, it was just the beginning of it, and we couldn't understand if there was something rocked around the propeller or what was going on. Finally worked it out by looking down through that little hole in nice bright ocean and seeing like when the propeller turns, it's not taking an angle. It's just like 2 or 3 flat panels in the water going around. That's why it's so much torque, so much load on the engine. The engine just collapses. So we learned a lot doing that. But yeah, so that area then nice and open with the bench in there. You can't do anything apart from like go into the nether recesses underneath the nav station. It's just a dark kind of cave hole under there, which is massive, but a massive waste of space also, right? The difference is for someone like me with this job, I would sleep in there, no problem at all. That to me looks like a fantastic, great place to kind of hang out. It's really in the center line of the boat. I can see all the nav system. I can make a nice little kind of like cozy hole in there, and I can sleep around the base of the nav seat. The other thing with the nav seat, once we get this this adapter made onto this race seat, this allows you to swivel the seat backs and forwards, go in and out a little bit, and then go up and down. It's got a bit of suspension on it. So I've never ever had a seat on a boat. When I was in the Navy or Naval Reserve, let's be very clear here at university, on the Navy ship, HMS Charger. She was Charger. I had another boat called Charger later on. It was Charger and Challenger, HMS Charger. She did have a sprung seat, and that was like the best place to be in a storm. So I guess I've always been hankering for that. So this little nod to her. But if I can get it on here this evening, a lot of things suddenly become possible. I've got a great place to sleep, a great place to hang out when the boat's at sea, a great place to sit, and a great place I can do this content creation. Let's have a see what people are saying. Calgary, maybe put some acoustic panels in there. You're a bit echoey for obvious reasons. Oh, that's a good point. Now, we have a little bit of a problem. Number one, I do have a lapel mic, which could totally help in this situation. Problem is we're plugged into the power at the same time. I can get some water. Oh, that's better. Yeah, a bit echoey. I say I've got a mic, but I have to plug something in the bottom of the phone to be able to use it. So that's my own I do have a headset as well, but the headset I think is quite a weird vocal effect when it's one of the like truck drivers' mics, and it can sound a bit odd. But if it's too echoey, just tell me and we'll try it. It's an interesting thing to try out. But the job we got here tonight. So, Navigator seat. If I can get this guy attached properly, then I'm going to feel like a fantastic. Oh, Trevor! Hey, Trevor. If I get the Navigator seat on, it's going to give me a real like kind of citadel, because basically at sea I just sit here, which is like down the companionway. The companionway is literally here, and then I'm sitting here. It's okay, but it's like not the best. Having something that's just way back there and kind of really protected. The good thing down there is that you've got those those big doors that go through to the lazarette, and then through the lazarette up between the wheels. So then you can see exactly what's going on. Man, I'm going to have a cup of coffee if this continues. All right, so I went today and bought all of the steel fasteners, the stainless steel fasteners required for this job. A lot of bloody stainless steel fasteners required for this job. Let me just show you the haul here. Let me just get this phone off here. So we've got bags and bags of fasteners, all metric, but you know, it doesn't matter. These are M&Ms. This is not. Well, it's an important part of the job, but it's not important to fastening the seat down. All this lot, and then these ones I've already unpacked. So basically, I'm taking a seat that's intended for a car, and then mounting it inside a sailboat on a motorboat seat. It's a pretty simple job. I don't see what the problem is. I'll have a few more M&Ms. So the good news is that a bit like Blue Peter, which is a show from the UK that Brits might recognise, a lot of the preparation's already been done. We have this giant piece of nylon, which has still got writing on the back, which is my test piece for like, is this the right kind of material? It needs to be light, it needs to be stiff, it needs to be strong, it needs to be able to work as an adapter here, and I had it left over from another job. So, oh, thank you very much to Trevor. Who's that? Trevor. Oh, it's Trevor. Hey, Trevor. Thank you, man. I'm working just hard enough, I tell you. I had a great time today because I was able to go and buy, I was able to go and pay the marina bills off, which was great. The guys here have been so fantastic in Cherbourg. Basically, they're giving me not a preferential rate, but a rate which is like when people come down to the dock, I invite them on the boat, I talk to them, kind of like an interesting thing for people to see. So it's like the regulars rate. So the entirety of March is 410 euros, which is 450 US, something like that, like 500 Canadian. It's like for an entire month. So, and that's gone up 100 euros from last month. So it's a pretty good thing that I can go and get that paid off, small though it is. We've got the sailmaker to pay, and we've got the piece of mast track. We built this. Oh, Trevor, you know about steel. Okay, so the mast track on the back of the mast, I dropped some of it in the water. I'm kind of happy now that I did, because I've had so many good things come from it. And what I've learned is that we don't have any of that track on the boat, and the nobody has, because it's completely custom. It's not like you can go and get it from Lumar or from Harken or Fredrickson, or it was made custom for these boats. It's only on these boats. So now, just to kind of like bring the entire story around, have I got it to hand? Oh yeah, I have. We now have the CAD drawing for it. It's with the engineer it's getting made. So it's got a happy end to the story. But at the beginning, all we had was like one spare headboard car. And then I managed to bring from England the balls that go inside this, pardon me, which allow this thing to work. I was showing this last night before the lights went off. These guys, they look like some kind of chocolate treat. They're in fact ceramic Tourlon balls. So these little guys, these are 12 mil, like half-inch ones. They're like a couple bucks each. They're not cheap, a couple bucks US each. So a box like that is, we need, how many do we need for this? I think we need like 40 for the mainsail car. So that's the outer bit. These are the bits that go inside it. And then what we did is I went up on the mast and made this, and I got made a little tap pattern just using a little wrench. Oh, you see it in there. Just got to be careful. It's like a souvenir now. Hey, come out. Well, come on, buddy. There we go. So that is the cross section of our mast track. So the deep cut there is the bit where the bolts go in, and then this cut out at the back is the bit that's against the mast. So that's the cross section. I did some basic measurements of this and of the mast track when I was there. I added some tool-on balls and gave it to my friend Sylvain, and he turned that into the CAD, and then the CAD's been sent to the are the bearings on the slugs. Bearings on the slugs. Yes. Are the bearing balls, the tool-on balls, on the slugs between the battens? Because yes, there are. I think it's a mix actually. I think there's a couple which are just like tool-on rods. That might be true. I don't know. I'll have to think about that for a second. They try and remember which boat this is. No, they're all balls on this boat. Okay, Challenger had tool-on rods on a couple of them. They're all balls, and they're all 12mm balls on this boat. Yeah. So that got made. So the engineers are going to need paying for that before we leave, obviously. And then we've got the sailmaker has put the clue back on the A2, which is great. I can't pay all that bill right now, but we can get some of it paid off. So we're working towards getting out of here. That's the main thing. And the weather, of course, is coming better and better. You don't want to be leaving Europe in February. So once I was pushed back in January, it's like, okay, now we have to wait until March. So we're in March, we're doing fine, but I want to get on with this job. So yeah, our piece of little bit of nylon is going to jump in here. This is part of whenever I'm on a boat, I always make sure I've got stuff where I can hit things really, really hard. It's a bit of an issue on some boats. If you need to like welly on something, like give it some kinetic, how do you do that? Like which part of the boat do you put it on to hit it? So I always make sure I've got like solid surfaces, and then obviously we got the keel head here, which is enormous, so we don't really have that problem, but we can't equally just be hitting the top of the keel head. So I've got wood, I've got nylon here. I'm going to sacrifice this bit to this job. So most of it's already done. I'm going to start sticking these M10s in, and we'll have a see how good I was. I wanted to make everything as massive as possible, probably over the top massive, to be honest. Yeah, but everything was drilled out earlier on, so hopefully not too bad. Now I want to get my washers straight. Right, I want to back this guy off. That's why there's so many fasteners for this one. Again, this massive penny washer on the back of this M10. It's like a 1/2 inch bolt, and then up into here. So I don't want, if I can, any like sharp edges underneath the seat. As I said, I'm probably going to be hanging out under there because it's just such a great place to stick a sleeping bag and hang out. Yeah, cool. Okay, good. And then this one. And then we're going to put a little lock washer on, of course. Yeah, if you don't have an anvil, then sometimes ends up being, then something ends up being an anvil, and sometimes the anchor, unless you need to straighten the anchor with a sledgehammer. Oh, is that by trying to drive it out of the mud? Did you bend the shank of the anchor driving it out of a rock or something in the coral? The one that I've got is having to straighten out a Danforth anchor, which had one fluke like this. And that's because the instructors at the Out of Bounds school, they'd have these little 36-foot open catches with 12 people, 12 people in. They could row them. They had a little outboard engine, little catch rig. and these instructors would throw the anchor out the back like a brake, like they're coming into the beach and they throw it out the back, and if they did hit a bit of coral, well, bye bye coral, and bent it over. Went to the beach to find a rock. Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, at least you got it back, right? It's just a piece of metal. Oh, that reminds me, wasn't there an anchor? Oh. I just had a memory of an anchor I seem to have lost. Oh well, don't worry about that. Okay, so let's get these guys in under here. That was not a good sound. It's funny on this boat. There's a bit of a mix of Canadian, American imperial stuff and metric, and I try and make sure. Oh, hang on, is this the wrong size? Oh, this is an 8. How annoying! Once you've got it in there. Are going 10s? Come on. Yes, wouldn't make that mistake. When you know you're going to be sitting on it, it's going to be bouncing over the ocean waves. You don't make mistakes like forgetting the lock washer. I was going to get, obviously, like locking nuts for this, but they wanted an extra, like basically every one of those packets was €4, which is not crazy amounts for stainless steel gear. But once you're buying like 25 packets, you're like, really? Do we have to have locking nuts, or can we just have some lock washers? Come on, buddy. All right, we're going to employ a little bit of brains here. The brawn is not doing it. Let me just get a wrench and stuff. Okay, so this is how I deal with little wrenches on the boat. I love my tools. I've been working around this kind of machine. Some of these are my father's, literally. But on a boat at sea, like when I go for a wrench, I might misjudge what the nut size is, which I know is like the biggest sin when you're working in a workshop, but it happens, and I don't want to have to be like then walking back to go and get the 12 mil instead of the 13 mil or whatever it is. So they just all live here. Yeah, there's some snap-on ones here that are my dad's. These are, what are these then? Like 15s? 16s, 17s, baby. 17. Oh, I know what the 17 is. The 17, is there another one? The 17 mil has a much vaunted position. It hangs on its own special carabiner next to the main engine, and I'm sure you can guess what that's for. It's for bleeding the main engine's injectors, of course. Have aircon and or heater. Oh, my. I have aircon. A heater. Well, we have a heater. Oh, I had a heater, didn't I? There's a little white heater about this big. We can't plug it in right now. There's no aircon. There's no anything like that. No, it's. I'm looking to get there. These kind of race boats don't have any of that kind of stuff, but there's a very, very good argument for two reasons to have aircon, particularly when we're going to the Caribbean or warm parts of the world. Because number one, people will not work inside the boat if it's super, super hot. So you may as well get a boom cover, get some kind of shade on deck, get it nice and cool down below, and then people will want to be in there, people being me or anybody else. And also because air conditioning is also dehumidifying, right? And the humidity is a massive problem. It's been a problem because the mast seal was leaking. It's been a problem because Cherbourg is very wet and what have you, but we don't have any aircon or anything like that, no. In terms of comfy sleeping spots, are hammocks ever used anymore? I was thinking about hammocks. We have a forest all around our house, and we have hammocks there, and I've done loads of sleeping as an outward bound instructor in hammocks and what have you. Hammocks can be very, very good, but they have to be set up very specifically. I've worked on tall ships where they still have hammocks, and they're not always in rows going forwards and backwards. They hang nicely, but if you can't get out of the hammock, and you get out the hammock and then slide down the deck, and everyone comes piling out the hammocks at watch change. If you go over a big wave, everyone just goes diving across the room. They tend to be kind of on a diagonal on the boat, so you're still a bit up and a bit down. This boat actually has a space where you could do that, and it's an idea I've almost had. This frame is put here specifically like just to hold on to when it gets really rough in here, as all these ropes and everything up here are for gear and all the rest of it. And you could put a hammock like diagonally across it. I can remember putting a hammock between the masts of one of those open catch boats, one of the outward bound training boats, and learning very quickly that it's a better idea to have the hammock like with your bum up against something, just touching something a little bit, so you've got like a little bit of control and a little bit of awareness if it starts, because we were at anchor and a speedboat went past and the boat started rocking and I was clear of the top of the boom cover and just started swinging like an absolute crazy thing. So yeah, hammocks can be very, very good. The secret with a hammock, if you've slept in a hammock, you know this, it's like hammock 101, is you are diagonal on the hammock, right? If you try and sleep in a hammock like a banana, it's very uncomfortable. It's like sitting up in a an airplane seat that's like U-shaped. But if you sleep diagonally, then it's very, very nice. Okay, we've got one of these on. Let's just double check our sizes here. Yes, 17 mil, 17 mil. And then we have this little tool here, which mine needs a bit of a clean. It's a magnet. Oh, it's stainless steel. Oh, it'll still work. It'll still work. For when it's a steel nut, it's a magnet, and then it clips onto the side of the wrench here. Here I am acting like I use this all the time. I haven't used this in a year. But when you need to use it, it makes that little shelf there. And then get the nut and put the nut in here, even though it's stainless steel. And then I can get it easily underneath here, and we should be off to the races again. Just trying to get in there with my fingers is proving a little bit difficult. Oh, have a banana. All right. Okay, we'll tighten it up once it's all lined up. So same thing again. Moonsight recently had a terrifying article from a couple who both contracted dengue fever in the Caribbean. Oh yeah. Dengue fever is horrible, man. You don't want dengue fever. Yeah, stay out of anywhere where there's mosquitoes in the water, right? That kind of area. I've had a lot of friends who had, and I think dengue is a bit like malaria and stuff, right? You don't get rid of it. Once you've got it, you kind of got it. Hey, this feels more wonky than it should be. There we go, that's better. Will you be doing any more instant reports? Absolutely, yeah. So I was saying earlier on, I started trying to do the one from the Limitless sonar that lost somebody over the side in the Solent in 2022. I started trying to film it last night, and I'm like, try and do the lighting and try and do everything ad hoc and work with everything. Like, I've almost got a situation down the back of the boat now, and this is the seat that's going to make it kind of happen. And my vision for doing those is that I can sit down and do it. One thing I will say about doing the instant reports is that I have to be a little bit careful. It's a bit like having insomnia and deciding to do a podcast about like hauntings or something, right? Like you're never going to go back to sleep ever again. I'm on the ocean telling people terrible stories about what can happen on the ocean. Like I know these things can happen, but I don't try and keep it in my mind all the time. So I've worked out in my mind is I will go to the back of the boat in there and we'll sit and talk about it, and then I will kind of close that off. I'm living the life the entire time. I have to be super cautious. But the one we did about the chap getting all wrapped around the winches and that did stick with me for a little while afterwards. I have to say, yeah. I've read lots of articles of incidents in them around Nova Scotia, like the other Volvo 60. One that was in one of your videos. Okay, so you're talking about Amasport 1 getting rescued from Cross Island. Is that right? William Sims. Hey, hang on. I can show you some never before seen pictures of that if you like when it came to the boatyard. So that boat, I was the captain of that boat. I was not the captain of it at the time that it went aground. It was in other ownership by then. I was never the owner of it. Oh, maybe I can't do that right now, actually. Oh, no. Okay. Either the phone's connected to the internet or this is at the moment. So we'll do that another time. But I'll tell you the story anyway. Well, I'll do a podcast about it sometime. But basically, I was the captain of the boat. That boat was Amasport 1. It was a Volvo 60, Kevlar hull, 7,800 kilos of lead on the bottom. And she was Amasport 1 in the 2001 Volvo race, and she came third, I think, or did she win it? If anybody can help me with that, I can't remember now. But anyway, I was the captain of that boat with Derek Hatfield. I was the captain and Derek was the owner, but obviously two people so experienced, we skippered it together. And I did probably 50,000 miles on that boat, and then it was sold to Esprit de Corps from Quebec, and one of their less experienced captains was bringing it up from the Caribbean. And I put it like that because in the end, there has to be a reason why things happened. I'll tell you the story and you'll see what I mean. I'm not trying to cast aspersions, just that's how it goes. He's less experienced, came up the coast. He left Bermuda one day ahead of me. I was in my Volvo 60 Challenger, and I went up and I got into a serious weather system right on the Gulf Stream, and basically for about I don't know 72 hours we were stuck in the northern wall of the Gulf Stream where it goes up and arcs across to the northeast. We were stuck in the northern wall of it in 55 knots with like the water temperature going 21, 14, 21, 10, like as we went in and out of the boundary layer between the warm and cold water. So we were stuck there. When we finally got to the Nova Scotia coast, that literally the Coast Guard had been wondering where we were and was nervous about us and was calling us to make sure everything was okay. Great. As I'm getting closer to, that's a day out from Nova Scotia, as I get to Nova Scotia, I then hear that there's been an incident and this boat has gone up on the rocks. And basically the night before we got into Nova Scotia, the wind was blowing like 45 knots from the west, which Nova Scotia's on the east coast, so it's blowing out of the harbour, and they decided to try and get into the harbour at night to get to their refuge, which is a reasonable instinct, but you don't do that. If you've got a really strong weather system like that, you just stay at sea, particularly when there's 2,500 miles of free water beneath you down to Europe and Africa. You can stay out there for however long you need to. But they went in, and when they went in, they were trying to drop sail and get the boat into the harbour. The staysail, I think it was, or something they had, went over the side of the boat, and what we later found is it was wrapped around the propeller. And whilst they were dealing with that, there was enough time because of the inexperience to get caught up in the what's going on at the bow and lose situational awareness. And then they found out that they were so close to the rocks of Cross Island. Boom, the next thing they're up on Cross Island. So they basically were around and abouts in the area for a little while, and then a local tug was sent out to pull the boat off the rocks. And I was at the boatyard when the boat got home, and there was talk about just dragging her up the beach with an excavator, which I thought was just a terrible end to the boat. So the keel bulb was off, and she'd been dragged in the water for like 10. How far is it from there? Like 10 miles. She'd been dragged on her side in the water. So the mast was still potentially good. The hull was badly damaged all down one side, and the keel bulb was off. Like, she was a write-off, but still deserved a bit of dignity. So we got her into the pit at East River Marine, into the travel lift well, and then they notched out the front and back of the keel, which is a metal keel plate, and wrapped chains around it, and we put 5,000 pounds of concrete hanging from that. Lowered it in with the crane, got it on, so she had a little bit of something, and then I got a Dyneema line across, and somehow I can't remember exactly how we did it now. We got a Dyneema line under. They pulled the boat up with the crane, and then we put this line across the travel lift well and put the mast down onto that, and then got a lower lift, and finally managed to struggle her upright and get her into the travel lift, and then lift her out as one piece. So it was a bit of a sad end to Amasport 1, but caused by that old mistake of looking at one detail and then losing the overall picture of it. So yeah, there we go. So behind the scenes. Well, this is about as behind the scenes as you get. You may not have heard this recent Canadian news. Canadian Coast Guard captain fired for willfully ignoring distress call. Whoa. Yeah. It makes me so sad. In the UK, the Coast Guard and the Royal National Lifeboat Institute take over the role of looking after mariners on the sea. And Nova Scotia's got a fishing fleet, which the fishing fleet has kind of been decimated by big super trawlers in the 90s, buying out all of the fishing permits and then taking all of that fishing capability into big boats that are offshore and away from Nova Scotia. But there's still enough people that make their living on the sea, and there should be more people recreationally boating around Nova Scotia. It's so gorgeous, but it's just kind of a dead duck. They don't have any kind of real support. Like, I've 3 times heard people with a distress call. It gets through to the Coast Guard, and then it's a local fisherman. They're like asking the local fisherman to go and help with the distress call. So the Canadian Coast Guard, it's sad to hear that anybody would be ignoring a distress call, but I do feel for them a little bit, where they've got they're being pulled in all sorts of directions. I'd be interested to hear what the rest of the story that is. Yeah, okay, I'll have a look at that. I got to do more of that. I want to do this streaming in the evening, and then, as I say, sort of set up which I should get on with, set up my little area where I can record, so we can have like a magazine show, and like, okay, what's interesting, what's new, what's going on, let's look at an incident, all that kind of stuff. Right, I better get the seat sorted, otherwise there's not going to be anything. What have we got here? Yeah. Oh, damn it. Drop everything. What? At least on a boat, when you lose things, it's either within 40 feet of you or it's gone. Cool. In other racy sailing news, this is cool. Globe Mini wrapped up. Yeah, Globe Mini wrapped up. Although I think they might still be waiting for the very last guy to cross the finish line. The Globe Mini, would you do that? Like, I remember when they did the first Golden Globe, the race convener, I forget his name now, he contacted me and said, do you want to do the Golden Globe? I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. It's, I think if you've never sailed around the world before, if you haven't done that kind of open ocean racing, and if the budget is the thing that's it's do or die, then do it, because it's better to be out there and be competing and enjoying yourself. And you can build, I think you can build those boats yourself, right? You can, like, everything is very accessible, but that's a very small boat. Right? It's a very small boat. I'm interested to think if it's like the mini Transat stuff, like 6.5 meters, like that's shorter than my cockpit. Like that makes me nervous. I've seen some pretty big seas. I know you'd never see the water break over a gull's back, right? So you can be small and bob up like a little cork, but it still would make me very nervous. Yeah, I'd be more inclined to try the Golden Globe race. Yeah, someday maybe. And you know what? It's a lot more accessible than you think. It's my mate Peter Collum and the YouTuber Patrick Lane are out right now. I think they're just off Cape Town. They've been around Cape Horn. Peter had Bavaria. Is it Bavaria 50 or something? It's like quite a cruisy boat. But they came and did the Fastnet with me and struck up a friendship. And I think both of them said, why don't we just go and do something crazy with the boat? You know, let's go. They've got lots of skills. Like, as long as it's safe, let's go and do it. So it went through the Panama Canal, down the west coast of South America, across Cape Horn, then across the Southern Ocean. I'm not sure if they're going to keep going. Like, they very definitely could from there. They may as well go to Australia and then go back to the Panama Canal, right? Go and sail around the world. But I'm not sure of their onward plans. But yeah, I'm not sure. The Golden Globe is certainly very doable. Very doable. The kind of boats, but I think I'm right in saying that most of the manufacturers of the boats that are in the Golden Globe, the manufacturers have said themselves, like, these boats are not intended for this kind of duty. So I don't know, like, I think everyone should go have the freedom to go and do whatever it is that they want to do. If you're enjoying yourself on that sort of boat, that's your adventure. That is just as good for you as being on this kind of boat is for me. And this is just as unbelievable and discomforting to somebody else. It's just what seems good for me is not necessarily good for other people, and that goes for whatever you want to do. Just be safe, right? That's the only thing we can ask. I feel like with this kind of boat, I'm very lucky to be in a situation where we have this, and lucky because people come and join us. This is our crew now for the Newport Bermuda race over here. People actually, it's so much fun because people are actually that are on the crew are like, hey, I can't see my name on the list. We've got Sisu, Rob, Aaron, John, Gary, Dimitri, Steve, Hamish, Ian, Gareth, Dave McQueen, and Trevor's on there as well. I put Trevor's name in just in case he wants to go. But it's the main thing now is to get with the little boats like that is just to be very, very aware of exactly how it's going to react when it's in the open ocean. Like, I'm not sure what the exact feedback has been from those boats being in the if they've enjoyed their time out there. Like, these classes come and go, and it's just, if it's a good class and it's a good division, it's good support, then it'll stick around. But too often they kind of, there was one called the Sail Through the Atlantic race that was mooted a couple years ago. That was going to be the new thing, and it was going to be 40-foot boats, like class 40s, I think was the idea, and they were going to be sailing from like Halifax to Anchorage or something, like through the Northwest Passage. It was a pretty wild idea. It didn't really go anywhere, but at least the Globe Minis have actually got onto the water. It's been made real. Oh, Ian McIntyre, that's the guy, right? I remember now. Okay, washer, lock, nut. Oh man, it's throwing these things around. bit more space on this side, I can almost get the nut in on my own. Well, so your name's there, Trevor, so whichever you want to do, mate, no problem. Now, I think this this hole I've dreamed up here is a little bit wishful thinking. You might have to adjust that with the drill a bit. Lovely. It's funny for anybody that's like worked around machinery a lot of their life. You kind of, your hands have almost got eyes in them, haven't they? You can like just offer my hand the nut, okay, and then it's just gonna like kind of wriggle in there. Find the end of the nut. Better not mess this up now. Okay. Yeah, I can feel it's cross-threaded, and I've only just put it on. We can sort that out. There we go. All right, now. Where is the adjustable? Okay. Newport Bermuda, scary. You mean that it's scary? I think the Newport Bermuda is not a very scary race. They've had one death, right? And it was somebody that went into the water and then couldn't be recovered from the water. The gentleman was, I've forgotten his name now. That's terrible. I did a report on that fatality for the podcast, and unfortunately, the reality was he weighed 300 pounds, and the crew couldn't get him back on board the boat. And that's how that works, right? It's not anything other than the reality of the situation. So, 600 miles. The Newport Bermuda is a good race, but Newport to Bermuda is a delivery. It's just a little hop between points. But I like the race because there's a big fanfare in Newport, and arriving in Bermuda is absolutely gorgeous, of course. And it's always a very interesting thing with that race because we said before, no boat that's ever won that race has ever done, I think, any more than 40 miles more than the straight line distance, which is 635, is it? Something like that. So it's a real like drag race down there. It's gonna be quite thrilling. It's always good sailing on the first day, first afternoon, that's right, and then it starts to get into the evening, and then there's no bloody wind at all. That's normally the experience. And then it goes solid for a couple days, and then it craps out entirely before you get to Bermuda. That's the normal way it seems to go for that race. And then last time we had the race, suddenly we had the same thing. Like, it was good sailing, went crappy, but then the next morning the wind came in from the west. It was a tight reach, and it was a tight reach the whole way there. We're on the same tack at the same angle, driving the same heading the entire way there. It was pretty fun. Something I'd love to do with this boat, once we've got this boat back up to speed and we've got the rigging sorted out, then I can start to power the boat up. I don't use the ballast at the moment at all because I don't want the rig to have to stand up to the full righting moment of this boat. Like, the righting moment on this boat is monstrous once everything's powered back up. There's 12.5 ton on the keel, 4 meters down, like 12 foot down, and then I can put 6,000 liters, which is what 6,000 liters is like 6,000 liters is what 400 gallons. Is that right? I think so, right? 6,000 liters, 4,000 gallons, a little bit more maybe on either side. So the righting moment is. And then the ballast tanks are 20 foot, like 6 meters out from the center line of the vessel. So, yeah, massive righting moment, but you can easily avoid a lot of it if you don't put the ballast in. Right, hang on, we've got to get the special tool back on the wrench here, because we're back on the other side. I remembered I didn't put one of the washers on when I was chatting at the beginning. I'm just convinced with this seat, I just want to have somewhere where I can sit that's like absolutely solid. I never once got on the seat when I was on that naval patrol vessel and thought, I wonder if the seat's gonna fall apart. And I want to have the same level of like trust in this seat, so I can actually relax and maybe go to sleep. All right, great. Yeah, so that's really worth its while for those nuts when you're trying to get them into really tight places. The thing with solo sailing is that it's always more than twice as difficult as double-handed sailing, right? Sometimes you just need someone just like hold something for you and they're not there. You can end up messing around for hours and hours to do something that another crew member could have done in 10 minutes. Great. solid. All right, that's better. What we got going on here? 6,000 kilos French, 1,585 gallons. Is that right? 4-point racing harness. Yeah, those gaming chairs companies, Mr. Big. The gaming chairs, I don't think would do this because they're not structural. This is actually a race seat, and with a 5-point harness in it. Pardon me, I've taken all the covers off it. It got a bit of mold on it, so they're outside in the cockpit with mold stuff on them. They're going to get washed. But it's all blue. It's nice. It's got nice red straps in it. The straps I don't think are going to be that important because by the time I've got this this adjustable base on it, this is going to be underneath there. By the time I move this one and turn, I can put my back downhill, and then I'll be kind of like, I should be in a pretty nice position actually. I think what I'm going to have to do is just make some like bars to hold on to. Like I've got the stainless steel bars here, make them in the nav station so I can pull myself back up. So if I'm laid back and then the boat starts to go onto its side, then it could be difficult to get out of the chair, you know, so. Okay, so first bit secure, happy with that. Let's get the controls on. I've already drilled out quite a lot of holes here. So hopefully some of them will line up. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I think I got 6 of these M8s, 30mm M8s, so they're going to go through and hold this guy on. I've actually drilled enough holes for there to be 8 bolts through here, so I might come back and put the other 2 on. Again, I just want it to be like bulletproof, right? Like to have one place on the boat, like there's nowhere really on this boat to sit that's comfy. On this seat is pretty much the only place to be, or on deck, or like in a beanbag on the floor. So it's going to be nice to have like a nice warm, dry area. We've sealed all the leaks in that area now. The nav gear's there. Like, it's going to feel pretty good to be in there, I think. And then, let's get these. So these are M8s. They're M8s. Those are lock washers. I remember what I bought. Like lots of M8s. Okay, lots of M8s, got that. Are those for this again? I guess they are. Great. Now the idea is penny washer. Oh, is it going to go up through that? Yeah, just about. Great, okay, cool. I can't believe how much stainless steel gear I had to get for this job, but it's all working out right. You know, I saw something today I haven't seen for a while, and I was kind of gladdened when I saw it. I saw a guy smoking and riding a bicycle. Like, it's all bikes here, and in Europe a lot of people still smoke. I still do once in a while as well, but you know, if someone wants to and they're out riding their bike, okay. But I just thought, I haven't seen anybody riding a bike and smoking in like forever. It's not very popular pastime now, smoking where I live. Oh no, that's not going to go through there. Is that going to... We can do that. We can do that. That's not a bad compromise. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, okay. So 1, and then 2, 3, 4. I maybe should have put that on first. I think my idea in the chandlery was to make everything go up from the bottom, so there's no sharp edges underneath in case I come up underneath it. I maybe forgot that somewhere along the way. Right, now what size are these guys? These are 15s, are they? Keep the 17 off to one side. What we got here? Oh no. You know, it's a skill set to know what size. I feel bad here. Oh, it's a 1/2 inch. I should have bloody known. And it's one I've certainly lost along the way. My father would not be happy with me as a young lad helping out in the workshop if I couldn't identify the size of the nut immediately. Have I not got another 13 mil? That's crazy. Okay. I need like another bag of wrenches here. I don't like using adjustable wrenches, but I must admit I've fallen into the habit of doing it. I'd rather do it on the one where I can see it. Okay, so washer lock. Get this off. Okay. All right. Looking a little bit better. We go. How's the repair going to the hull? Yeah, so I've got the epoxy on the outside of the hull now, and we're going to put a little bit of mat on just to kind of build it back up. It wasn't structural. We had it assessed by a naval engineer, so it's not a naval architect. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then it's just going to be filler and epoxy filler across the top of it, and then a bit of paint. So it's been drying off now. I've been using the heat gun, methyl hydrate, and keeping it under plastic. And then the relative humidity here in Cherbourg's been like 75, 85, 75, 85, got a couple of drier days coming up ahead now, so hopefully that'll push the relative humidity back down to like 60, something like that. So I feel like that's the best window to try and get that done if I can. Oh, interesting. Okay, I might actually back those off a little bit. I see there's a little bit of slide available if I take it. Oh, that locking washer is really doing its job. Right. Yeah, good. That looks okay. And that locking washer is really doing its job. There we go. All right, another one on the back here. Yeah. They sell packs of 4. They sell everything for €3.80. Every packet's €3.80. So like here we got a couple of M8s by 50mm with a couple of nuts, but then if you get a pack of these, then you get a load of those guys, or you get 3 locking nuts. So then you got to get 6 locking nuts, or you got to get 9 locking nuts because you actually need 8, right? So yeah, they're always trying to get you one way or another. Now where's my... There it is. Hang on. Where we are here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Oh dang, I can't get to that one because it's in the way of... Oh man, what, really? Well, there you go. Made it anyway. Perfect. I just really don't want the front of this seat like peeling off while I'm sitting on it. When the boat's going along at like, I don't know, 15 knots or something, this boat, the hull cuts very, very nicely through the water. So you're not exposed to the massive kind of slamming loads that you get in some boats. But, you know, when you turn and start to go upwind, well, every boat's the same then, right? So at that point, you're going to get massive forces being imparted to the chair. If there's a 2-foot length on the pedestal of the chair, and then I'm sitting on the top of it at nearly 200 pounds. I'm just working on the basis that's gonna chair's gonna feel a particular way about that, right? Okay. And last couple here. Yep. 8. Was he on top of the on top of the Dom Tower in Utrecht? There's only a couple of people that know about that. That was Nijntje, wasn't it? That was on top of the Dom Tower. That was you and 9 on bikes, wasn't it? What is next after the Newport Bermuda? Newport Bermuda is then Bermuda to Boston. So we haven't got anybody on that yet. I haven't been. I've been concentrating on the actual race down to Bermuda. So this is back up to Boston. So we'll do the immediately afterwards. We'll go back up to Boston, and then people are telling me there's a race that's going to be done between Montreal and Quebec. Is that right? Or Quebec to Montreal? It's quite a long delivery. The problem for me is that I'm in Nova Scotia and I got to come out around the top of Cape Breton and then go down the St. Lawrence Waterway, which is no small task. We do have the speed to drive against the current, but basically you're 6 hours against the current, 6 hours with the current. So it's something like 1,500 miles, of which 900 of it could be motoring up and kind of sailing up the St. Lawrence Waterway. So a huge challenge. I'd love to go and support the race because it's a Canadian thing. I'm up for that. I might do a transatlantic. If people are up for a transatlantic, we could do that because I'm going to bring the boat back to France. That's absolutely for certain. I'm absolutely loving France and the benefit of just being around people that love sailing. Like I had a guy on board today. He's on the boat next to me here, and he'd been chatting to Hey Paul. What's this now? I set one of those up recently, and I'm not sure there's anything actually holding the entire seat down onto the piston other than gravity. That's a very fair point. I did notice that in here. Yes, it's like it's got a clamp, but it's just weight basically that's holding it on. Don't have an entire solution for that yet. I guess the solution could be like strong bungee or something that like ties the chair down to the floor so it can't go beyond maximum extension. If it gets complicated, it's going to have a giant through bolt that goes right through it. So I'd rather just have the chair than the adjustability. But if we could get both of them working, that'd be pretty cool. Is that a delivery? Bermuda to Boston? Yeah, it's me sailing back up from Bermuda. The Bermuda race itself is on the 19th of June, and the safety training starts for the crew on the 16th. So 16th, 17th, 18th, we're doing safety. We come in here, we go through all the safety gear, we go through everything which is relative to people being on board the boat. We go on deck and go through everything. We go through man overboard. We go through everything in those 3 days, including basic tacks, jibes, and everything that we need to be able to go through the start line. Because, if you're watching Wimbledon on TV, it's not likely you're going to go and be on centre court getting involved. Same with the Formula One, same with anything at the Olympics. The difference with yacht racing, with the stuff that we're doing, is that you can actually end up on a boat that's going through the start line of a giant international race when you come and do these kind of things. So people pay sponsorship. It's $3,000 US. They're paying for what happens here on board the boat. That's the new kind of model we're working. I make my money from doing social media. There's not much money there, but the boat gets money from people coming on board. So we just got a payment today for someone that's doing the Newport Bermuda race. Went and paid off the marina bill, went and paid off some of the sailmakers bill, went and got some food, diesel, and then got these fasteners and things so that we've got like the next bit. Obviously didn't use up all the money in that, but I'm going to go